Eddie Gibson, Reverend Eddie Gibson, if you are looking for a title. But I just go by Eddie Gibson, and I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa. And I've been in Birmingham almost 30 years. I'm a minister and a missionary, to be specific. I do pastoral work and I do evangelistic work, but mostly I do missionary. Well, I come from a small remote village in West Africa. It's remote. You still have to walk to get to most places there. People still bathe in the creek. They don't have electricity and all that stuff. Because my dad had gone to the city and experienced a little bit of what Western life looked like, seeing people wear coat and tie and long sleeves and shoes. And so on this particular January day, 1963, I think, or 66, a lady and her children were passing through our village. They had gone to their side of the place to for vacation and spend the night in our village. And my dad asked her if she could take some of his kids with her to go to school. She said yes. And so that for my brother, sister, and myself to go with her. And so the next day, we walked, took a 3 days journey, walked to get in the car, and then on to Monrovia went. I went for a good number of years, from my elementary school days up to middle school. And then I got into a stable home, living with another family where I would do basic housework for them, cook for them, clean for them, take care of the kids, just to have a place to sleep, something to eat, and go to school. I did that through high school. And then when I completed high school, I had an opportunity to go to a college, which was a boarding school, and my church gave me scholarship. They pay for everything. So things were kind of consistent, stable. I live in the dorm. I had my books. I had a room. I had, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So life, I wasn't initially planning to come to America. After college in Liberia, I got married, settled down, and I was working for a church. And so things are going real good. Growing your family and trying to find some way to have a home and everything. But then the Civil War broke out in our country. As a political conflict. The rebels came to town in December of 1989, and they took everything over. They were shooting young kids, 8 years old, 12 years old. I mean, they had guns everywhere in your community. So when the rebels took control of the country, we got trapped. We were like quarantined for months in our home. You couldn't go anywhere. They were vandalizing people's stuff, taking people's vehicles from them. Dead bodies all around the city, killed people close to our house. I had to bury some myself. And so it got to a point where things were kind of running out. And so I had a desire in my heart to get my family out to a safe haven. And so we hitchhiked for several days and weeks, from one city to another. Family got separated, for like 10 days in the process of looking for a way to get out, looking for food. And then God help my family, we got reconnected October 10th. The day when I decided, I said, if I don't find my wife and kids, I just keep drifting, I was able to find them. And then we spent 13 days in a city about 45 miles away from Monrovia, where we live. And got with some friends who were finding ways to get other people out, got a vehicle. We all got on that and then drove out of the country and became refugees. So when we were refugees in another African country, prior to the war, we met a young missionary who was working in Liberia. This young missionary, her name was Eddy, and my wife worked in the same room, at the Baptist Publishing House. We became good friends, but she left before the war broke out. And because we were friends, and when we had our first child, we named our child for her, that relationship just kind of sealed, And so she was praying for us. She lived in Birmingham then. She was praying for us that God would work a miracle to get us out of the country. And so this particular day that we got out, later on, we learned that she said after she searched for us, couldn't find us, she just prayed and said, God, do something for me today, to hear from my friends. And it was that day that we drove out of Liberia and came to the Ivory Coast. While we were in the Ivory Coast, she made connection with the missionaries who were there and connected us, let her know that we were out. And after that, she started working on the process of getting us to the States. And so in order for us to be able to come, I mean, for us to come, make our transition easier, faster, and all that, she got me a scholarship to come to Stanford University. So yeah, so there were challenges. You meet students who really don't understand, where you come from. For instance, learning to use laundry machine, washing machine, yeah, learning to use microwave. But basically, it was the transition, and it wasn't that. From my part of our life experience was living through the war. You lived through the war, and I mean, I kind of just stretch it out real quick. But during the war, there was a time where your family could not go anywhere. One particular day, our family was locked down. We were caught between two warring factions. So you are in crossfire. There are bullets coming from one end to the other. Yeah, I mean heavy machine guns. What they call the 40-bar missile launcher. One Saturday, the rebels told us that by 9 o'clock in the morning, when you hear the earth shake, it will be us. Do not panic. How can you not panic when your house is just, shaking to the ground? We had to put cotton in our baby's ears because they're just launching. I mean, you could hear yes. So that was, I mean, it make you feel like you could die anytime. So it took me a while to adjust when we got in Birmingham. For instance, I'm sitting in the classroom, and when I hear the ambulance siren, I'm thinking I'm still back in Liberia and the rebels. About psychological post uh, war trauma. You're sleeping, and guess what? You're dreaming about the rebels coming to it. Oh, the war was still going on. Cities all torn apart, buildings have bullets, marks all in them. And but people trying to put their lives back together. And I believe God's calling me and my family to be a part of the healing process. So we were there with people who were rebuilding their lives, whose husbands had been shot, children got separated, trying to rebuild their family behind rebel held territory. So yeah, and I'm ministering to that kind of community. At the same time, trying to take care of my family. About 20 years ago, we started a school in my village. It's called the Marla Age School Mission School. It's pre-K to middle school level, and that's been going for almost 20 years. And then we started another school near the city, pre-K through high school. We've been doing that for like 15 years on that one. And then also try to start an agricultural college in my village to help the people to grow their own food, to be able to sustain themselves.